We are live on YouTube, Mataji.
Thank you for watching. Hare Krishna. I'll share my screen. Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Thank you for joining. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji,
Thank you,
Dandavat.
everyone, for joining. We'll start with the prayers. Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरून् श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदान्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं हरे कृष्ण एवरीवन धन्यवाद प्रणाम। I hope you're finding the OBS easy and you're able to work on it. I hope so.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, with respect to that, Prabhuji, we also have to learn a few shlokas. So, the first verse from the first chapter is mandatory for everyone. And from the second chapter, you can pick any of the three verses and please learn those. What I will do is I'll also try to share the recitation for those particular verses so that that can be picked accordingly, and also with along with the verses please learn the translations also. It can be shared in your own words because how it will happen is there will be an exam. So what we can decide today, like how we really want to take it forward, whether we want to take all the verses together or after every two chapters we can go ahead and we can complete this exercise, okay, with respect to two chapters, the way we are having the OBAs, right? At the end of two chapters, we are having OBA. Similarly, one day we can plan for the exam of the essays. So it
That,
will be a verbal exam. So
that will be
online,
easy. Yeah, that will be easy, Mataji.
yeah, that will be easy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can happen after the. I mean, we can decide on the dates, like whether it can happen in the next week or day after. I mean, in the next to next week or the next week, we can just plan it that ways. Okay, so we have completed up to verse number
15.
16, right?
Yeah,
15, 16.
15.
So we will continue. Okay, just before going into it, let's go through this yoga ladder also again once. So we had covered earlier when we have seen, okay, Arjuna had a few questions. I mean, he was confused whether he has to perform the Buddhi yoga, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or he wanted to renounce. So whether he has to perform, because he considered Buddhi yoga as renunciation, no active. He according to him, he wanted to renounce basically, right? So we also covered the cycle of sacrifice when we moved further because there were the discussions with respect to who is a pretender, who is a mithyachari, and a person who is a sincere person who works, he works with no attachment to the result, right? He is not attached to the fruit of the activity. Whereas a pretender, what he does is he keeps on pretending. It seems as if he has renounced everything. So externally he is renounced, but internally he is only engaged in his own sense gratification. So that is what we have seen as the definition of a mithyachari. So he's the one who is externally he has withdrawn his senses. And later we have also seen how from verse we have also seen the types of karmas, and this also we have seen so a person has to perform the activities how in a detached mood, so he should not be attached to the fruits of the results, right? So us instead as compared to a mithyachari, it is better to be a sincere sweeper because he is carrying out his duty sincerely. He is trying to control the active senses by the mind, and he begins karma yoga. So we covered this, right? That a sincere sweeper in the street is far better than the charlatan meditator because he is a just like a show bottle spiritualist. He is meditating only for the sake of making a living. So this we have seen. Then we have covered the various types of karma. We covered the cycle of sacrifice and the yoga ladder. So from verse number 10 to 16, how from karma kanda there is a progression from karma kanda to karma yoga. So how it is happening. Then in the that is basically the cycle of sacrifice because it helps the person. It is basically talking about the karma kanda, right? Regulated sense gratification, which we covered. So that is why the Lord mentioned that a person, if he really wants to at least indulge in his regulation, in a sense gratification, at least he become regulated in that. So what a person does, a person in karma kanda, he follows the scriptures, but the purpose is completely purely for his own sense gratification. And then we have two types of yogas, right? In the karma yogas, we have two types of yogas. We have seen Sakam karma yoga, Nishkam karma yoga. Later, when a person is further elevated, he moves to Gyan yoga, where continues his search for the absolute truth, right? Then, further, when he is elevated to the position of Ashtanga yoga, he keeps meditation. He starts meditating on the super soul, who is the Paramatma, situated in the heart. And then, finally, it is Bhakti yoga, when a person understands who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhakti yoga is loving devotional service to the Lord. So, from basically, karma kanda is not coming as a part of the yoga ladder because it is just a step, it is a stepping stone. And what is the purpose of the yoga ladder we discussed? I mean, what is the purpose of performing all these duties? Performing uh, this yoga ladder. What is the purpose of the yoga ladder? Please raise your hand. Why is it needed to perform the activities under in various? Why do we see under various categories of yoga there are certain activities? What is the purpose? Why is this yoga ladder recommended?
Purpose is to meet Krishna, Krishna
Hmm.
consciousness.
Yes, but how to achieve that Krishna consciousness? How can we achieve that Krishna consciousness?
By going through all these, going through this ladder.
Okay, and is there any other way also? Any shortcut or any other way of going
Short,
and
I think
achieving Lord's love?
shortcut is Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti yoga, that's right. And what is the reason why a person has to go through this yoga ladder? Because that is meant for his purification.
Yes.
Everyone is not at the same stage, right?
Yes.
Some person might be at the stage of Sakam Karma Yoga, other person could be at the stage of Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Correct.
So ultimately, the Lord mentioned that He didn't want to miss out any of the person. He's so merciful, so He has a plan for everyone. So He knew this that not everyone is going to be a devotee. They are going to take different times, and they are going to take their own time based on our own conditioning. So bhakti yoga is the best because it helps us in having a loving relationship with the Lord, and we have an escalator which has been provided to us. This is what we have seen through Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and all our acharyas, we understand how bhakti yoga is so simple. We can keep Lord Krishna in the center. So what we are performing right now is bhakti yoga. Okay, so okay, and not only that, there is an important thing that these are, if I say, okay, from Sakam Karma Yoga, can I directly move to Ashtanga Yoga? Can I do that? No,
Yes.
I cannot do that. No, I cannot do that, Prabhuji, because these are interdependent. I cannot say one is inferior to another.
Okay.
Because if a person has to go through a ladder, he has to put his step on the first rung, right? I mean, the
Correct.
first step of the
Okay.
ladder, then only he can move on to further, right, on to the second one. So in a yoga ladder, a person has to follow this. Why? The reason is, if you would notice, if we go upward, there is detachment at every step that is happening, and we there is some attachment with the Lord or with the understanding of the absolute truth. So that is the purpose. So this is the reason why there is a purification that is happening at every level, right? So
Yeah.
there, whereas in Bhakti Yoga, it is direct devotional service to the Lord. And how a person is doing, if a person is going out and if he's earning, he's getting the grocery, he's preparing the bhoga. So he has Lord in the center, right? Because he's offering bhoga to the Lord and then he's giving prasadam to the entire family, right? That is Bhakti Yoga. In different stages here, there is they are trying to build up this understanding of knowing the absolute truth. Whereas in Bhakti Yoga, we understand that Krishna himself is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so we'll move further. Yeah, I just thought of having some questions for all of you. Okay, so does every yoga take us to the same destination? Please raise your hands.
Yeah.
Please raise your hands. Yes, Murari Chaitanya Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mother. Yeah,
Yes,
all
Prabhuji.
every,
So does every yoga take us to the same destination?
yes, yes, Mother.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
But it take time,
Okay.
longer time for with other one, the Bhakti except Bhakti Yoga, other will take time. For
Okay, so where, in case if I am at the level of Jnana Yoga, where will I reach? If I am at this
from Jnana to
stage,
Ashtanga, from Jnana you have
if
to
I am
go
at the
to
stage of Jnana Yoga, what is my destination? What is it that I am trying to achieve? In,
the Brahma Jyoti, the Brahman realization.
yeah, so, but that is not my goal, right? My goal
Yes,
is
you're right.
Lord Shri Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So my destination is not same for now, right?
Yeah.
In Jnana Yoga, yogi is, what is the destination for the Jnana Yoga? What is he trying to achieve? Brahman, right? Brahman
Yeah,
effulgence, Brahma Jyoti. In
yeah.
Ashtanga Yoga, it is the Paramatma, right?
Mahatma
But in Bhakti Yoga, it is the Supreme
Bhagavan.
Lord Shri Krishna himself. But yeah, actually, ultimately, as you mentioned, it is going to take time for them to understand that it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is our prime destination, Swarth Gati, no?
But
So what
Mataji,
is Karma
can
Kand? Yes, Prabhuji.
can we go directly from Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga, leaving aside?
Prabhuji, for Bhakti Yoga, any person can go directly to Bhakti Yoga. We have gone directly into Bhakti Yoga, isn't it? See, what are we doing right now? Uh, what are we doing? The Lord says, no, Lord Krishna says, Man manabhav mad bhakto,
Yes.
madhyaji mam namaskuru. Isn't it? So,
Yes.
if we go through that verse, it says, Man manabhav mad bhakto, absorb your mind in me, right?
Correct.
Madhyaji mam namaskuru. So, worship me, offer obeisances unto me. So, what is it that we are doing right now?
Oh, yes. Correct.
Isn't it? Not
Yes.
only that, Prabhuji, we also work with the understanding that every person, I mean, in my family, whoever, or it's irrespective of family, everyone in this world, they're part and parcel of Lord Shri Krishna. And in the family also, when we understand this, that Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke, that every person is a part and parcel of the Lord, the approach of our life of seeing them, I mean, our approach towards them will completely change. What we will say, okay, I have a responsibility towards them. If I have to I have to give them prasadam, right? It is my responsibility. So ultimately, what it is, I have kept Krishna in the center. I'm offering bhoga to the Lord, and I'm giving the prasadam to my family. If I am also thinking, okay, let me just take them to the temple or let them come with me to the temple, what am I doing? We are always thinking, keeping Krishna in the center, and we are trying to do devotional activities, right?
Correct.
So this way we try to keep Krishna in the center. If a person really wishes to, if a person has interest to listen to music, what he can do, he can listen to kirtans, he can do kirtan at home in the front of the Lord, he can visit the temples, he can perform seva in the temples, even at home, online, preaching, any way he can just associate himself with the Lord. And this is so easy. Bhakti yoga is so easy.
Correct.
Going through these yogas, I mean, yoga ladder is very difficult. See, Sakam Karma Yoga, why is it difficult? Well, like, sorry, Karma Kanda, why is it difficult? It is difficult because we have to perform Vedic rituals.
Yes.
We have to perform sacrifices. We have to follow the rituals. To perform the Vedic rituals, we should know how to perform. We don't know. So we need to have a qualified brahmanas. It is very difficult to find qualified brahmanas now. So this way we understand this such a difficult process it is. Ashtanga yoga we can't even meditate, isn't it?
Very tough, very tough.
Very tough. So that is why it is like the Bhakti yoga is the easiest and the sublime process. So, and then, yeah, what are the benefits of Bhakti yoga? There will be liberation. I mean, there are certain things which come as these are the benefits of Bhakti yoga, which automatically comes with Bhakti. The person who is performing Bhakti yoga, he's automatically at a liberated stage. But still, a devotee he never he never asks for liberation because they just want to render devotional service to the Lord. So how do we practice Bhakti Yoga? As I discussed, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Isn't it, Prabhuji?
Correct.
We have 9 hymns. Yeah,
Nine.
9 ways of
Yeah.
Navadha Bhakti, 9 ways of
Navadha.
devotional service. Okay, so Shravanam. So which are these? Shravanam, what is the example for Shravanam? Please raise your hands. We give an example of about Shravanam. Yes, Jia Mataji. So who? Parikshit Maharaj. Very good, Mataji. Yes, Shravanam. Then we have Kirtanam. Who did the Kirtan for Parikshit Maharaj? We had the complete recitation of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, right? Yes. Anyone else? Yes. Anyone else? Kirtan. Who did the Kirtan? Yes, Harshita Mataji. Harshita Mataji. Yes, Mataji, Shukdev Goswami. Hari bol. Thank you, Mataji. Archana Mataji, we are not able to hear you. It's your Hare Krishna Mataji. Unable to hear you, Mataji. Yes, Shukdev Goswami. So, yes, Hari bol. Thank you,
That is
Prabhuji.
what I told.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Samit Prabhuji. So, yes, so Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam. Who did the Smaranam? Example is, we have such great exalted devotees whose examples, I mean, which are the best examples. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam is Prahlad Maharaj. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam. So, Pada Sevanam, who is always serving the lotus feet of the Lord, Pada Sevanam.
Mata Lakshmi.
Mata Lakshmi. Yes, very good. So, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. Archana, who did the Archana? Archanam, Vandanam. So, Archana is Prithu Maharaj. Archanam, Vandanam is Akrurji. Yeah, so Archanam is Prithu Maharaj, Vandanam is Akrurji. Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. Dasyam, we have good examples. Hanumanji, Haribol, very nice. Dasyam, Sakhyam, who is the Sakha?
Arjuna.
Arjuna, Sakhyam. And Atma Nivedana, let's?
Bali Maharaj.
Bali Maharaj, Haribol, very nice. Thank you. So, this is what we have seen. Gajendra, for which one, Prabhuji? Gajendra for? We need to check. I'm really not sure. Gajendra for which one, Prabhuji? Gajendra was Indradyumna Maharaj, no? Not, not Prithu Maharaj. So, okay, now can I directly jump? No, we cannot. And destinations, as we mentioned, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. There is a very beautiful verse that comes in Srimad Bhagavatam that says, Vadanti tat tattva vidas, tattvam yaj gyatva advayam, brahmeti paramatmeti, bhagwan iti shabdyate. So, this verse basically is from the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, which talks about the various destinations. Brahman, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Vadanti tat tattva vidas, tattvam yaj gyatva advayam. Tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti shabdyate. So learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma or Bhagwan. So you'll be able to find more details in this verse. This helps us to understand with respect to our level of realization. We according to our level of realization, different people perceive they perceive the absolute truth. Lord Krishna is differently, right? For some persons, it would be, for some people, it is Brahman, for the yogis. Jnanis, sorry, for Jnanis it is Brahman, for the yogis it is Paramatma, and then we have, Brahman is for the
Devotees.
Jnanis, and Dhyanis, for Dhyanis it is Paramatma, and for Bhagwan is for the devotees, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is clear. We'll move ahead. Okay, so then we have seen this cycle of sacrifices, right? We have also seen this. A person. So in the cycle of sacrifice, what have we seen? What did we see? We have seen that the yagyas should be performed for Lord Vishnu. It is mentioned that Yagyove Vishnu. So he is the chief beneficiary, right? Bhoktaram Yagya Tapsam. So whenever the sacrifices are to be done, they are to be done for the Lord. And with this understanding, one should perform the sacrifices. And we have also seen a person who does not, who just takes everything. He is a thief who does not return back as gratitude to the demigods. We have seen that to anyone for that matter, he's a thief. So this also we have seen stain eva saha. And the cycle of sacrifice was prepared with the understanding of the Lord mentioned that there will be certain cooperation will be maintained and between the men and the demigods and all their material desires. So the people who are coming down onto the earth, all their material desires will be fulfilled. And what they have to do only with respect to the cooperation with the demigods. So they also have to perform sacrifices, and thus the prosperity will reign. So this is what we have seen. So this is the cycle, and we have also seen which is the best yagya for the Kali Yuga. Which is the best yagya for Kali Yuga? It is
Sankirtan.
Sankirtan Yajna.
Sankirtan Yagya. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare.
So this is what we have seen. That the best process is to please the Supreme Lord by unalloyed and undeviated devotional service. Best yagya is the Sankirtan Yagya, chanting the holy names of the Lord. And the purpose of this human life is to please the Supreme Lord. Best mantra to be chanted is Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So that is why we perform the Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting. So in Kali Yuga. So okay, so today we will continue further. We'll complete this chapter today. So now we have seen the compassion. For the compassion, the the Jnana was given by Lord Krishna. Then enjoyment. We have seen the Karma Kanda. Yes, so for enjoyment, the Karma Kanda section covered how the enjoyment can be present there. So when Arjuna said, I don't find any kind of material enjoyment. So for that, the Lord mentioned you are going to attain either you are going to attain the earthly kingdoms, or in case if you lose, then you are going to attain the Swargaloka, heavenly planets. Then for the sinful reactions, the Buddhi Yoga has been mentioned, like that how if you will work by keeping me in center, isn't it? By fixing your mind onto me, you will not attain any kind of sin. And destruction of the dynasty again, because you are going to perform your karma yoga. You are going to perform your prescribed duty. You're going to set an example. This is what we are going to cover today. 3.18 to 26. We will see in this. So first, BG 3.17 to 18. Would someone like to read this, please? Please volunteer. A new messages there. Okay. Yes, Murari Chaitanya Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please read, Prabhuji.
यस्तात्मा रतिरेव स्यात् आत्मा तृप्तश्च मानवः आत्मनि एव च सन्तुष्टस्तस्य कार्यं न विद्यते आत्मरतिः taking pleasure in the self. But for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization, and who is satisfied in the self only, fully satiated, for him there is no duty. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, verse number 17. So, it is mentioned that Atma Ratir. So, Atma Ratir. So, a person who takes pleasure in the self, Atma Ram. So, a person who is a self realized soul, they always take pleasure in the self. Why? Because they are really not attached to any kind of material desires. They don't have any kind of material desires. So now the reason being why this is happening is after the discussion when we have seen the cycle of sacrifice. Why did we see the cycle of sacrifice? For the fulfillment of material desires. So now, Arjuna, now it is like what you can say, like Arjuna thinks that okay, he might think that okay, I do not have any kind of material desires. I do not want the Swargaloka also. I have no, I don't have any material desires. I don't want Swargaloka, and I also have this knowledge that I am not this body. So now can I go and renounce? Because I don't have any material desires. I don't have to go back and give back anything to the demigods, right? Because everybody has to work in cooperation. I won't be considered as a thief. But what the Lord says that no, you cannot do this because now you have to set an example for others. And not only that, even if you will go and live in the forest, you are going to subsist on the natural vegetation, whatever is there, like you are going to eat the fruits, right? How are the fruits produced? They are also produced from rains. And from where does the rain come again? We have the cycle of sacrifice coming into picture, right? So that is why it is mentioned that how about the people who are completely, who are purified, who have pure consciousness, they are the self-realized people. Those who are really the ideal renunciants, right? So why? Because they take pleasure in the self, Atma Ram. And Atma Ram, actually, they do not have any kind of engagements. They are only engaged in the service of Lord Shri Krishna. There is a very beautiful verse. आत्मरामश्च मुनयो निर्गन्धि अपि उरुक्रमे कुर्वन्ति अहेतुकीं भक्तिम् इत्थं भूतगुणो हरिः. So this is a very beautiful verse which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, point Atmaram verse. Maybe I'll just show you like this. It talks about that they are Atma Ramascha Muneyo Nirgranthi. So the Nirgranthi is they are freed from all the different kinds of material bondage. They do not have any material bondage. And what is their purpose? They just wish to engage in 1.7.10. They just wish to render a devotional service to the Lord. And why? Because Krishna is so attractive. Ittam bhuta guno hari. Krishna has such transcendental qualities. Lord Harihi, of the Lord. So all the different varieties of Atma Ramas, there are different definitions given. In Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, it has been mentioned that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he had this discussion with Srila Sanatan Goswami, no, different 11 types of different definitions are given about Atmaram. So this is the Atmaram verse which says Atmaramascha Muneo Nirgrantha Api Urukrame. Urukrame. Lord Krishna is mentioned as the Urukrame because he always does uh, Urukram task, extra Herculean tasks, referring to the Vaman avatar, you remember that Vaman avatar for the with the pastime with Bali Maharaj. So such people, all different varieties of Atma Rams who take pleasure in Atma, especially those who are established on the path of self-realization, they are free, even though they are freed from all kinds of material bondage, they just desire to render unalloyed devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore he can attract everyone, including the liberated souls. And even Shukdev Goswami says, no. So, which is the verse? निगम कल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रव संयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. That, oh expert and thoughtful man, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, because all the liberated self-realized souls, what they wish to do, they just want to take the nectar, nectar. They just want to hear Naam, Roop, Gun, Leela of the Lord. So, O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Shukdev Goswami, so it became double tasty, Its taste increased. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including the liberated souls. So, this is what has been mentioned how the Atma Rams, they only wish to engage in the service of the Lord. Yeah. And yeah, but still they perform their duties. Why? They take pleasure in the self, but still they they do not have any duty, right? There's no attachments to this kind of attachments to the result. So what do we see here? Krishna consciousness. A slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. 3.26 purport. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, why does a person perform the Vedic rituals? He performs the Vedic rituals for his purification. Why? Because he has to get rid of all the sinful reactions, right? But here it is mentioned, Krishna conscious person, he doesn't need to go ahead and carry out any of the Vedic rituals because he has already achieved that particular, not even achieved, he's beyond that particular stage, isn't it? So, would someone like to read this, please? Krishna consciousness. Please volunteer. Yes, Jipon Krishna Chaitanya Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Please read, Prabhuji.
Krishna consciousness. Now, you cannot again introduce this system of Varnasrama. It is not possible. But if one takes to Krishna consciousness, automatically he becomes immediately a Brahmana and above the Brahmana. A Vaishnava is above the Brahmana. Bhagavad Gita 3.18 to 30 verses, Los Angeles, December 13, 1968. Jai Srila
Thank you,
Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. So we see that such self-realized people, they are the Vaishnavas, right? So how, and when we say a Vaishnava, he is above the Brahmana because they are always situated in the pure goodness, isn't it? Shuddha Sattva Gun. Not only that, they are always fixed in their identity because they know what is their relationship with the Lord, what is their Swarup, isn't it? Real Swarupa. So they are Swarupa Siddha. And thus we understand that a self-realized person, they do not have any kind of material desires. Not only that, in case if we go through this purport of verse number 17, we will understand that they have already performed, as it is seen, no, they have already performed all the yagyas in their previous lives. Not only that, they do not have any kind of obligations also. So as a part of verse number 18, this is mentioned that they do not have any kind of obligations also towards anyone, be it man, demigod, or to anyone for that matter. Yeah. So yes. Yes, please, would someone like to volunteer to read this, please?
Mataji, can I?
Yes, Mataji.
Archana.
Please read. Archana Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Please read.
Now you cannot again. Varnashrama Dharma, an example of society in general. A self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Bhagavad Gita 3.18 to 20. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. So we have seen this how a self-realized person, they have no they have no material duties towards anyone except for Krishna. They work only for Krishna's pleasure, and that is why they are known as Atmaram, right? Therefore, but still they still work, right? Why do they work? Why do they really perform the duties, the prescribed duties in the material world? Because they want to set an example for others. They want to educate people in general how we should perform our work. So, okay, when we say how we should perform our work, what is the definition? What do we understand from this? Can you please raise your hand? You should perform your work. So, what does this mean? You should perform your prescribed duty, right? That is why this is known as Varnashram Dharma, isn't it? Now, when you should perform your prescribed duty, what is the example that they wish to set here? What is it that is being mentioned? How we should perform our duty? Anyone? Please share in the chat or raise your hands, please. So what is it that is being explained? Okay. So what is meant here is if we are trying to perform our duty, We should never be attached to the result of our activity, right? Isn't it? Now, what happens when we had the cycle of sacrifice? Okay. We have seen the cycle of sacrifice we have seen, isn't it? Right? No? So we have seen we had a cycle of sacrifice wherein we were giving something. And now, if a person is only taking and taking, what happens? Internally, I mean, with respect to their understanding or mentally, what happens? And okay, so I just wanted to understand, I mean, you can have different answers for this. Yes, thank you, Mataji, Jia Mataji, without desiring the result. So what I meant what I mean now is, when we have seen the cycle of sacrifice, what we have noticed is a person, you can say there is a basically collaboration or the cooperation is there with respect to the dependence, isn't it? I am depending on something or someone. I am going to get what kind of an attitude am I going to build? I'm going to depend on something, I'm relying on someone. If I have to rely on someone, or even if I have to give some portion out of my salary to someone, this means that I am not showing total attachment towards my things, right? So when I'm talking about the cycle of sacrifice, that was basically with respect to the dependence, that we will bow down towards someone, isn't it? We will understand, okay, there is some higher power, isn't it? And we will bow down to some supreme power. That was but who is that power? We have understood that it is Lord Vishnu that is mentioned there, Lord Shri Krishna. So now when we talk about performing our prescribed duties, why do we say that, okay, always perform prescribed duties without the attachment to the result? Because slowly and steadily, when we will start detaching ourselves, gradually we are going to move upward in the cycle, in the yoga ladder, isn't it? So that is the purpose. Okay. So verse number 90. Tasmadasaktah satatam karyam karma samachara asakto hai acharan karma param apnoti purushah. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of the activity. So how a person should act is a matter of duty. How one should act? He has to perform his duty. How? By working without attachment. This attachment is to the fruits of the activities. So, therefore, without being attached to the fruits of the activities, one should act as a matter of duty. Because when he will work without attachment, ultimately he is going to attain Lord Krishna, isn't it? So, that is why it is mentioned why one should work without the attachment to the prescribed duties. I mean, without the attachment towards the result. So, would someone like to volunteer to read this, please? Verse 19. Yes, we know that, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Bhagavad Gita 3.19. A person therefore acting for Krishna or in Krishna consciousness under proper guidance and without attachment to the result of the work is certainly making progress towards the supreme goal of life. To be a good man or a non-violent man is a personal attachment, but to act on behalf of the supreme is to act without attachment for the result. That is perfect action of the highest degree, recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So this is mentioned under proper guidance. So a person therefore acting for Krishna under proper guidance is certainly making progress towards the supreme goal of life. So under proper guidance, this means that under the guidance of our bona fide spiritual master. So under the guidance of our Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So when we understand from our Guru, how does our Guru helps us in this way? How the Guru helps us is they are going to help us understand which kind of duties we are supposed to do. I mean, when we say how the prescribed duties are assigned, right? So, based on our attachments, material attachments, and based on our guna and karma, the Guru they help us to identify and choose the kind of activity that is fit for us, isn't it? And what is mentioned is to be a good man or a non-violent man. So, Arjuna he wanted to be a non-violent man, right? So that also is a personal attachment. So ultimately, a person has to work. How Arjuna should work here is he has to act because it is Lord Krishna's order. So he has to act without attachment to the result. But what he is trying to show is he is trying to be a good man, or he is trying to be a non-violent man. Whereas according to the Varnashram Dharma, he is according to and he is falling under which Varna? Arjuna is falling under which Varna?
Putra.
Please answer. He's
Kshatriya.
a
Kshatriya.
Kshatriya.
He's a Kshatriya, yes, thank you. So he's a Kshatriya, but what he's trying to be, he is trying to become non-violent. And that is also a personal attachment because he's desiring it. See, the material, when we talk about the desires or the activities that, when we talk about the desires, the desires are always not in the gross form, which we can see, isn't it? They are also there in the subtle form. So fame, recognitions, having name, everybody should know us. So that is also coming as a part of the attachment only. And that is perfect action. What is perfect action? Acting on behalf of the Supreme Lord. That is to act without the attachment for the result. That is perfect action of the highest degree, recommended by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. There is a very beautiful thing I heard in one of the classes. I just recalled. When we go to the temple, what do we do? Very beautiful. This helps us to really ponder, and contemplate on. Please contemplate. Whenever we go to the temple, we go in front of the Lord, and if we are having some kind of offering for the Lord, we will keep it there, right? If we are having fruits or anything, if we are putting um, Lakshmi also in the hundi, what is our first reaction? Our reaction is, did anyone see me performing this activity? Isn't it? That is also our desire. Whereas what we should do, we should go with the understanding and the bhava that, see, Lord, I have got this for you. You should see. I mean, the Lord should see this. But what we have an intention of showing it to the public instead of literally going and showing it to the Lord, offering it to the Lord with love. So this is a very beautiful thing which I heard in one of the classes, and so true. So see, such subtle ways of attachment, of fulfilling our desires, it is there. So deeply, we are so deeply conditioned. It is because of our impressions of several lives. Yeah. So yes, so we have seen verse number 3.20, how such people they live a life, how the self-realized people live, they live a life, they set an example for us. So karmana, and what do we see here? This is Janak Maharaj. So he also lived his life. Kings such as Janak attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Janak Maharaj, he is also known as one of the great Mahajans, right? How many Mahajans are there? There are 12 Mahajans, and Janak Maharaj is one of the Mahajans. He is a great devotee of the Lord. He was transcendentally situated. He is a self-realized person, self-realized soul. Why he still performed his duties? For his public, because he had to teach his subjects how to perform the prescribed duties. He wanted to set an example, and for Krishna's pleasure. Earlier, since we understand this, that they were always known as Raj Rishis. Why they were known as Raj Rishis? They were because that is the way they were carrying out their activities in accordance with the Lord's instructions. And we have also seen from, if we have undergone, I mean, we have noticed it from the Shastras also, that people used to perform, they used to observe fasting, even the Rajas, Kshatriyas, they used to perform, they used to observe the Ekadashi Vratas, right? And so that the citizens will also follow. So this is also we have noticed this in our scriptures also. So as the king of Mithila, he had to teach his subjects how to perform prescribed duties because that is the responsibility of a leader. So this is what we are going to see in the upcoming verses. Yad yad acharati shrestha. And as we understand, there is a verse also which says, Swayambhu Shambhu Narada Kumaro Kapilo, Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kumaro Kapilo Manu. So how does it go? Bali Vayasike Vayam. Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kapilo Kumara Kapilo Manu. Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vayasakir Vayam. So these are the names of the 12 Mahajans. And Janak Maharaj is one of them. And Vyasakir is Shukdev Goswami, son of Srila Vyasadeva. And Vayam is referring to Yamdev, Yamraj. Yeah. Would someone like to volunteer, please, to read this? Yes, Harshita Mataji, please. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Mataji, for the verse.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Bhagavad Gita 3.20. Lord Krishna and Arjuna, the Lord's eternal friend, had no need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but they fought to teach people in general that violence is also necessary in a situation where good arguments fail. Although one who is situated in Krishna consciousness may not have any interest in the world, he still works to teach the public how to live and how to act. Person in Krishna consciousness act in such a way that others will follow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Madhuri, thank you. So this is what we have seen. There is another example. This is another example of Lord Krishna and Arjuna, that he is Lord's eternal friend, had no need to fight. I mean, Lord Krishna and Arjuna, they did not have any need to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, but they fought just to tease the public in general. Why? Because that violence is also necessary in a situation where good arguments fail. There is an analogy of a knife, you know. If a knife goes in the hand of a criminal, it is going to cause havoc. Whereas the same knife, if it goes in the hands of a surgeon, it is going to save a life, isn't it? So that is why we understand the violence also has its utility. Violence is also necessary in a situation where good arguments fail. So this is what was mentioned, like why, what was the need? So even they were also performing the prescribed duties. But in a person in Krishna consciousness, they act in such a way that others will follow. That is the reason why they set an example for the entire world. Varnashram Dharma, an example for society in general. Bhagavad Gita 3.21. Yad yad acharati shreshthas tat tad evetaro janaha sa yad pramanam kurute lokas tad anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. This is a very important verse. So acharati, so respectable leaders, you know, with Shreshtas is respectable leaders. So acharati is our acharan, right? So how, what actions, what we are going to do, the others are going to follow that, isn't it? And when we talk about this, it is not with respect to the imitation, but it is with respect to the following the instructions. For example, following the instructions of our acharyas, isn't it? So that is, and when we talk about a leader, so what is the role of a leader? Every person, I mean, every single person, I believe, every person is a leader, because even every person is if they are parents, they are going to have some kind of relationship, isn't it? They are in the family, they are the leaders in some way. So why they are known as the natural leaders? Because the natural leaders, they have a great responsibility towards the society. They also have a responsibility towards their families, isn't it? So, for example, if what we are trying to carry out activities, the activities that we are trying to carry out in our own life, it reflects and it helps our kids also to grow by imbibing those qualities, isn't it? So that is why it is very important for us. Like, in case if we know with respect to how, if we are trying to offer bhoga with the right understanding, like what is the purpose behind offering the bhoga and offering the bhoga to Lord Shri Krishna, then accordingly, even our kids will follow. So if we are chanting, our kids will also chant. They are going to take some time, but they will understand the importance of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Someday they are going to chant. And ultimately, it is always seen, you know, in the kids also when they grow up. So in the young age, the kids, they acquire a lot, you know. I mean, since they are very tender, you know, the stage, or you can say there is an example of a glass. If the glass is completely full with water, if we were going to fill water in that particular glass, it is what will happen? It is going to spill, right? Water will spill. Whereas they are like empty glasses, you know, the kids, they are like the empty glasses. So when we are going to fill anything, when we are going to fill the water, it is going to be contained in that, isn't it? So that is why whatever acharan we are going to perform with everyone for that matter, even with our family, friends, relatives, everywhere, what we are going to, how we are going to reflect our characteristics, or how we are going to live our life. This also talks about the things at the subtle level, with respect to our interactions with people. So what all these things they reflect, and people they understand, they portray, how do they understand how the person is with respect to the characteristics, isn't it? And that is what we have seen in the previous verses also in the chapter 2, like how does a self-realized person, Siddhir Muni, how does he walk, how does he sit, isn't it? So this really helps us. And in this chapter, it is also mentioned that who is an acharya. So acharya is a person, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. He is an ideal acharya for all of us. So we know that the acharya, so acharya, he lives his life practically. He lives the life by practically through his behavior. That is an acharya. And there is also one more important thing mentioned by in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. If we go through this purport, it is mentioned that according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is mentioned that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. So, personal practical behavior, that basically it is the foundation for everyone, isn't it? Okay, there is a small activity, not an activity basically. Just want to know, identify 3 examples from this verse of natural leaders. This is verse number 21. And please raise your hands. Then we'll go to the activity. There are examples of 3 examples of natural leaders. Please raise your hand, or you can put in the chat also. That is also fine. And please raise your hand. 3 natural leaders. There is an example given. Please, yeah, yes, Mataji. I'm unable to hear you, Mataji. Praveen Shetty Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. I have to call out the names if, yes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Praveen Prabhuji. Okay, Asha Praveen Shetty Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay. Yes, Praveen Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you are on mute. We are unable to. We are unable to hear you, Prabhuji. Praveen Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. We are unable to hear you. Okay. Yes, Sumit Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, could you please repeat the question because it just
Yeah.
got.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Jia Mataji, that's right. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, the question is from the verse number 21. Could you identify the 3 examples of the natural leaders? The examples of the names of 3 natural leaders. There is an example that is given.
No, Mataji, I'm sorry, I cannot answer it.
You don't have the book right now?
I do have the book in front of me, Mataji.
Oh, you have the book?
Yes,
Okay, so
Mataji.
please go through the last 2 lines of this paragraph of this purport. Text 21.
All right, Mataji. The last line, right?
Yes, the last 2
It
lines, Prabhuji.
says, the king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents, therefore they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. So this is what has been mentioned here, that the king or the executive head of a state, the father, I mean the parents towards the kid, and the school teacher for the students. So they have their responsibilities, isn't it? The king has the responsibility towards the subjects or the citizens, right? So all these natural leaders, they have a responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes, because they cannot just guide others whimsically, right? They have to follow the standard moral and spiritual codes. Okay. Yeah, we'll continue. So discuss with a partner a recent incident where others followed your example. And what was the result for those who followed your example? So let's just try to have this activity. Please try to identify, and we'll just have the discussion here itself. Going back to this. Yes. So this is the one. Yes, please. So please raise your hands, and yeah, we can have it here itself. I would request everyone to please participate in this. Otherwise, we won't be able to continue. So you can think about any of the incidents, and you can just share that here in the group. Discuss with a partner. You can discuss about a recent incident where others followed your example, and what was the result of that? Who followed your example? So once this is done, we'll take up another activity. Yes, Harshita Mataji, Hare Krishna. Yes, please, Mataji.
Mataji, this is from from our personal life. We have to give an example. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, Mataji, yes. Recent incident, it could be related to anyone else also, but yeah, you have been you know about it. I mean, it happened in your presence. It could be that ways also. So,
Okay, so Mataji, maybe I'll share one example if I may.
yes,
One
Mataji.
example I have. So, Mataji, we just in our local temple of ISKCON, we have conducted summer camps in the last month, and I was also part of one summer camp in my society. And there, for one of my friend's kid, he is 10 years old, and he participated in that summer camp. For the first time, he participated in something like ISKCON in summer camp. After the 7 days of summer camp, the impact was that he forced his parents to start coming to Sunday classes where I go. And along with that, not only that, they were hardcore non-vegetarians. So now he started being adamant at home that no, you will not cook non-veg food and you will offer food first. So he's offering food to the god and then he's eating. So they, because of him, they all have stopped eating non-veg. And now that's
Very
the
nice,
impact the summer
Mataji.
camp has created to him. So I just requested them to send the kid once to the summer camp just for 7 days, but it has a long lasting effect by mercy of Krishna Mataji. And one just
So
small
true,
incident
Mataji.
I will share. This is just 130 seconds. That while I was today, I'm just putting my video off and on because Mataji today, while seeing me, my daughter was asking me to start her own classes. So I enrolled her in Bhagavad Gita for kids classes today.
Haribol. Very
Just
nice,
started
Mataji.
from
So
Mangalore.
nice.
So I was just managing her and managing my studies. That's why I kept my video off and on in between.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for such a motivational incident, sharing that. Yes, anyone else would like to share, please? Yes, Archana Mataji, would you like to share?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yes, Mataji, I would
Hare
like
Krishna
to share
Mataji.
that.
Yes, Mataji.
That example happened. Mataji, I am actually, recent days, one thing happened. That example is, I am staying near to the temple only, ISKCON temple only. Daily, I'm attending Mangalarti. I'm doing some Rangoli services over here. And my daily activities starts from morning 3:30 a.m. onwards. So my friend who stays with me also, she was not able to wake up early in the morning. So there is a difference that she used to miss the bus. Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, early there is a concept no mother early bird will get worms like that. So same waking up early and doing chanting early in the morning and going to the work. All these things they are like organized in my life. So one day she came to and asked me that I am unable to wake up early in the morning. What to do like that? So then I explained her that maintain your things before night, like you eat at 7:30 and sleep by 9:30 p.m. Then you can wake up at 3:30. Like I told this Mataji, she is following that now. And previously she used to eat non-veg. Now I'm 29 years old, Mataji, but I look like a 21-year-old girl. She asked me that what is the secret of your age and all. Then I told her that I don't eat non-veg. So if you do not eat non-veg, our skin tone, our age will be like this only. So I gave an example like this. She stopped eating non-veg, and this is what happened, Mataji.
Yes, this is the magic of association of devotees,
That's the
Mataji.
devotee,
Thank you for
Mataji.
sharing that. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Yes, Vinodhar Prabhuji, would you like to share an incident? Prabhuji, you are on mute. We are unable to hear you.
I started the ISKCON just for fun initially. But now you see, today I am at level 5 and it has gone so serious. I am doing my japa 16 rounds complete without any fail, no backlogs. But I see side by side people at home are really following me slowly. But I think maybe in next 6 months they'll come to my position. So that
Hari
is the
Bol.
effect. That is the effect of this fun going to seriousness.
So true, Prabhuji. It is the mercy of all our acharyas and
I think
Guru
it is the
Maharaj,
mercy of
Srila Prabhupada.
Acharyas and Krishna too.
Yes, Prabhuji, so true. And also by the mercy of NND Prabhuji, we are able to have these classes,
Yes, yes,
regularly,
yes, correct,
continuously,
correct.
consistently. Yeah.
correct.
Haripol. All glories to Srila Bhagwan. Very nice. Thank you, Prabhuji. So we'll move ahead. Someone else also like to share their incidents? Any incidents,
Hare Krishna.
please? Okay, we'll
Hare
move
Krishna.
ahead then. Hare Krishna. Please, Prabhuji. Please continue.
Mataji,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
I want to some
Yes,
share
Prabhuji.
them. Okay.
Yes, please, Prabhuji. Yes, please.
Actually, it is occurred in 3 days ago. My friend, he has a daughter, and he wanted to celebrate his birthday, and he has a hmm, menu. In this there are meat and non-veg actually. But I persuaded him that it is your birthday, son's daughter's birthday, and there is no need to harm any animals, because it is a blessing ceremony. You don't do that. Just they listen it and they followed the ritual, and just we happened there, and they are programming all the vegetarian program so nicely.
Oh, very nice. So nice, Prabhuji. Hari Bol. Yeah. Prabhuji, I mean, this we have heard from several, exalted teachers, devotees, and even from the acharyas in our shastras, that the quality of chanting, it really helps us to continue further, in progressing spiritually. That also matters a lot. So it's the association, it's the complete package, the way we have, like when we talk about, we'll be talking about it later in the uh, subsequent verses. So this entire thing, it is basically because it is the complete Guru Parampara who are really empowering us to carry on with our duties, carry out our activities, Krishna conscious activities in the right spirit. Because our sadhana, how to perform the sadhana, we have gurus, we have the teachers, bona fide spiritual masters who really help us. And the best thing is we are in the best, we are in the best parampara. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So that is what I can say here. Yeah, thank you. Yes, we'll continue. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher, they are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. So we are talking about the natural leaders All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents for their spiritual progress, right? 3.21 purport. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we understand, okay, so even the acharyas, we have seen like the acharyas, why do they need to perform their duties? The natural leaders, even they are performing their duties. So, Varnashram Dharma, an example for society in general. We also understand that Lord Krishna also appeared and he also carried out all his prescribed duties because he had to set an example, the right example. So, why he followed? Because he descended to establish the principles of religion. He followed the prescribed duties, otherwise, common men would follow in his footsteps because he is the greatest authority. Isn't it so? Although such rules and regulations, everything is for the conditioned souls, not for the Lord Himself. He is the supreme cause of all causes, right? He is Sarva Karan Karanam. So He is beyond this entire material world. This is His creation only, right? So Devi Hesha Gunmai Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So material energy, the material entire material world, Durga Mata. So even she is working under this under the directions of Lord Shri Krishna. So Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. So he is like all the such rules, regulations, they are only for the conditioned souls, not for the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is the one who has created everything. He is Sarva Karan Karanam. As we understand from Brahma Samhita, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna's Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. And he descends to establish the principles of religion. We understand, right? यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. So he always descends to establish the principles of religion and to annihilate the miscreants. So he followed the prescribed rules, otherwise, because people will follow, and because he is the greatest authority. And what would happen if he doesn't perform his prescribed duties? Na kuryam karma ched aham sankarasya cha kartasyam. Swarna Sankar would happen. What would happen? All the worlds would be put to ruination, and I would be the cause of creating unwanted population. So what would happen? Everything will be put into ruination. Why? Because people will, what they are going to do, they are going to indulge themselves only in sinful activities. And if the Lord won't follow, everybody will also he would be the considered the cause of creating unwanted population because nobody is going to work. So this means that the entire purpose of varnashram dharma gets defeated, isn't it? So it is going to, and this is going to cause unwanted population, that is known as varna sankar. So this is what is going to happen. And ultimately, there won't be any peace in the world. So similarly, this verse basically talks about 22 and 24. Similarly, there are some pseudo devotees of Lord Krishna who prefer to imitate the Lord in his Ras Leela or dance of love, Ras Leela, but forgetting their inability to lift Govardhan hill. It is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply follow their instructions. That is why it is mentioned they should always try to do anusaran, not anukaran, no imitation. But what we should do, we should always try to follow the instructions of our guru and acharyas. Nor should one try to occupy their post without qualifications. No, that is a very big aparadh. So basically, these verses 25, 27, 28. Please refer these verses. It helps us to understand what are the differences. How does a self-realized person and how does a attached worker, how do they work? So with respect to verse 25, we understand self-realized person. They set an example for society in general. Then what are the characteristics of the detached worker? So the characteristics of self-realized person are uh, this 25 is basically talking about the comparison. It gives an it understanding with respect to the self-realized person and the ignorant person. Saktah karmani avidamsho yatha kurvanti bharata puryad vidvams tathash saktash chikeshur loka sangraham. As the ignorant perform their duties, so they are saying, okay, how does the ignorant person perform their duties? They will perform duty, but they will be attached to the result. Whereas The learned man also performs the same duty, but without attachment. Why? Because they wish to lead the people on the right path. So this is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 3.25. So, yeah, would someone like to read this, please? Please raise your hands. Would someone like to volunteer? Yes, Murari Chaitanya Prabhu. Yes, please.
प्रकृते क्रियमाणानि गुणै कर्माणि सर्वशः अहङ्कारविमूढात्मा कर्ताहमिति मन्यते. The spirit soul bewildered by the influence of false ego thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mother.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So this is a very important verse, and we have to memorize this verse also. Prakriti Kriyamanani. So this is a very important verse. Let's go to this verse. Yes. Oh, let's read this. Hmm. So in this verse, let's go through this. Yeah. So it is mentioned the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of the activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Right? So it is the purport. In case if we go through the purport, we understand that there are two persons, one in Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness. They're working on the same level, but they may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a difference in their respective positions. So they are saying, Srila Prabhupada mentions here that in the purport, are you able to see, are you able to follow me? Are we on the right page? Verse number 27.
Yes.
Yes,
I'm,
Mataji.
Yes,
okay.
Mataji.
Thank you. So yeah, so the person in material consciousness is convinced by the false ego that I am the doer. Everything is happening because of me. He's the controller. He feels I am the controller. If I won't, he wants to take the control of the entire situation in his hands, right? That he is the doer of everything. But he does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by the material nature, this which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. So this basically is talking about how this entire body is created, right? It is created from the 24 elements, the way it is created from the Panch Mahabhut. We'll be covering that later in the chapter 13. So he does not know how this mechanism of the body is produced, and it works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. How? Maya adhyakshena prakriti suyate sa characharam, right? So he doesn't understand this. Let me just open this verse for everyone. Yes. Yeah. So it says, Hetu nanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Thavar Jangam. So the various living entities, whether they are moving or they are inert, right? Moving and non-moving beings, they are produced by this material nature, which is working under my direction. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So this is what is mentioned here. And when we see this, first, when we are going through the purport, we understand that such a person, because he is, when we talk about false ego, basically he thinks I am the doer because he is attached to this body. He has bodily attachments. As soon as a person gets a janma, as soon as a person uh, is born in this material nature, that false ego is tagged to him, because false ego is also one of the elements, right? From the 24 material elements, false ego is one of the elements. So it is also, he gets associated with the false ego, and he thinks himself to be the doer of everything. But he doesn't have any knowledge that ultimately he's under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego, he takes all the credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of his ignorance, the science. So basically, every person, even if we notice in the material world also, otherwise also, what we in general, what we notice that people have a tendency of taking credit. even for the others' activities, right? So they have this habit of taking the credit because they feel if they were not involved in that particular activity, that couldn't have been completed. But we don't know that all of us, we are just the nimitta matram, right? We are just an instrument in carrying out the order of the Lord. So the materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego, he takes all the credit for doing everything independently. And not only that, a very important thing, if a person by mistake, accidentally or otherwise, if a person takes the credit of somebody else's work also, what happens? There is a karma. So ultimately, he's binding himself into karma. So the person in false ego takes all the credit, and that is the symptom of his nescience. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged only in the service of Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. He forgets that the Lord is Rishikesha. Rishikesha is the master of the senses of this material body, and so he tries to misuse. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. So he has been, a person or we, what we have been doing is, I can say, like, what we have been doing is, we have been misusing our senses. And for how long we have been misusing? Life after life, because of which we have these impressions, the way they are imprinted, it becomes very difficult to come out of it. For example, I'll share an example. If we have to get up early in the morning, we are trying to be in Krishna consciousness, right? We try to follow, conduct, perform our sadhana bhakti. If a person has to try to get up in the morning, do you find it challenging? Okay, please raise your hand. Sometimes, okay, don't raise your hands. You can just think about it. Whether we find it difficult to get up or we might not be consistent, right? Why is it so? Because there is some kind of nature inbuilt based on our three modes of material nature, mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. What we are trying to do is we are trying to go against the current of the river. You know, our body, the way we have, in this birth now, the way we have uh, built our body, it is based on the three modes of material nature, which have been imprinted based on the previous impressions, right? It is based on that. And now our body is not allowing us to go against that. So that is why there is always a fight internally with respect to that particular characteristic which we try to imbibe in ourselves now, isn't it? So that is what happens with us. So this is what has been mentioned, that we are always, the spirit soul is bewildered by the influence of the false ego, that he is the doer. Why? Because he is working under the three modes of material nature. He is entrapped. And so these three modes of material nature, they are um, playing with the jiva, because he he is acting according to these three modes of material nature. Yeah, thank you. We'll just continue. So yeah, so nitya vairina. So lust is the eternal enemy. Arjun uvacha. Would someone like to read this, please? Nitya vairina. This is verse number 3.36. Yes, dear Mataji, please. Hare Krishna.
अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽया पापाञ्चरति पुराणौ नौ अनिच्छमपि वर्ष्णेय बलादेव नियोजितौ. O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Bhagavad Gita 3.36.
Yes. So basically, thank you, Mataji. So this is mentioned like lust. It is mentioned as nitya verina. It is not mentioned as verina. That's just the enemy, right? So it is nitya verina. If a person is an enemy in this life, the person is going to forget us. After this life, anyways, he is going to forget. Even we are going to forget. But this lust, he is the eternal enemy. Life after life, he is chasing us. So that is what is mentioned. And in case with respect to the verse number 36, it is mentioned like what is it that forces us? It pushes us. Okay, as I just mentioned, we say okay, we just want to follow certain kind of rules and regulations, but still there is some kind of force which is not allowing me to do so. Why? Because that is the lust. Okay, so this lust is basically which lust? It is the material desires. So that is the lust. So, and why this happens? Because, you know, if we talk about our pure nature, then we are Sachidanand, just like the Lord, because we are part and parcel of the Lord. So we are free from material contaminations. But as soon as we take birth in this material world, when we are born, everything is we become contaminated and we come under the influence of the three modes of material nature. And what happens is, since we used to have a loving relationship with the Lord in the Goloka. But when we came here, everything here is in a perverted, everything is a perverted reflection of Goloka, right? So similarly, this material world, as will be covered in the later chapters in Purushottam Yoga, also we will see chapter 15. So what we understand, our original love, pure love for Lord, it got perverted and it transformed into lust. So that is what we understand from this. And not only that, what happens when a living entity is in contact with the material nature, he acts in n number of different ways of in different in he performs different sinful activities, because he is controlled by this lust. And we will also understand like when this particular lust works, it is basically born of the mode of passion. Like there is a verse, that is verse number 37, right? So which helps us to understand this kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhava. So kama is the lust, and along with lust there is its younger brother which is known as krodha. So kama krodha, why? If my lust is fulfilled, then it is fine, I'm going to have more number of desires, right? It is going to increase. But if my lust is unfulfilled, if my desire is unfulfilled, what will happen? I'm going to get anger, isn't it? And when, if the lust is fulfilled, what is going to happen? I'm going to become greedy. That is why it is mentioned lust, anger, greed are three gates to hell. Okay. So, and from where it is born? It is born of it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion. And later it is transformed into wrath, which is the all devouring sinful enemy of the Lord. So let's see. Okay, so we have an activity here. This is the last. Yeah, this is the last section. So please read your allocated verse and purport. Discuss and identify general principles from Krishna's analysis of lust and identify corresponding Sanskrit words and the phrases. List the principles and the phrases identified. So we are going to cover three verses here, 37, 39, and 41. Okay, so we have these three verses. With respect to these three groups, so let's have this activity. Yeah, so this is, yeah. How many people do we have? So, Prabhuji, we have 13 participants, right? Okay, let us have these groups. Uh, I'm just creating the breakout rooms. Let us try to have this discussion. 2 minutes is fine, isn't it? So, 2 minutes in the breakout room, and then after coming back, we can have this discussion. And I request everyone to participate, please. We have 13 participants, and let me just, I have to stop sharing first. Yes, so group 1 is going to take 37, verse number 37. Then we have group 2, verse number 39, group 3, verse number 41. So let's make 5 groups. Okay. So, and then group 4 will be again 37 and group 5 will be 39. Okay. So just I will also mention the group numbers. I have to stop sharing because I need to create the breakout rooms. I'm making 5 breakout rooms. Yeah, okay. Yes, so this has been done. I'll share my screen again so that you all can have a look onto these sections, like which are the various groups. So group 1 is 37. Please take verse number 37, group 1. Then group 2 is 39, group 3 41, and accordingly we have group 4 is 37, group 5 is 39. Yes, please join. Yes, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Please raise your hands. We'll start with the discussion. I'm sorry. Yes. From group one, yes. Who is from group one? Who would be participating from group one?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So that's verse number 37. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, from verse number 37,
37.
we can see that it has been shown that the identification of the real enemy is there, which is lust. Lust is declared as the root cause of all sin, and it has been identified as the greatest enemy of the soul, which is very
Mm.
now. Then we can see that lust arises from Rajoguna, the mode of passion it has been mentioned,
Mm.
and it leads to attachment, which eventually causes frustration and anger, krodha. And when desires are not fulfilled, lust transforms into anger, which further leads to illusion and loss of intelligence. Then we can see it's written in the Mahasana, which is the all devouring nature of lust. It is never satisfied. It is like a fire fed with ghee. Desire increases with indulgence. And the only solution to this is regulation and spiritual purification. Um then it has been mentioned as Mahapapma, the great sinner. Lust impels one to commit sinful activities in pursuit of enjoyment. Even dharma is compromised when lust dominates. It leads to moral and spiritual degradation. That was from my side, Mataji, and some extra points are there from Sonali Mataji as well.
Yes, Mataji. Sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Mataji, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji. As Prabhuji
Hare
said,
Krishna.
when our lust is not fulfilled, uh, we get anger, and all these three, lust, anger, and greed, are three gates to hell. And as we are part and parcel of Krishna, uh, uh, it is coming from Krishna, but here in this material world, this service attitude is transferred into this sense enjoyment, material enjoyment. And also we have an example here of Hanumanji, who burned the Lanka, who used his anger in a right way. Uh, he burned the Lanka and served the Lord Rama.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, thank you, Mataji. That is so right. So that is why we remember, no, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Atmendriya Priti Vancha Tare Bali Kama Krishnendriya Priti Ichha Dhare Prem Nama. So that is why it is lust here, no? So yeah. So this is what we have seen. And yes, from verse number 37, I am able to recall from one of the classes, that this lust is like a python. So what a python does, python catches its prey and completely swallows the entire prey, right? The python doesn't even leave the bones. A tiger at least will leave the bones. But this lust is like a python because it is going to swallow us completely. It swallows its prey completely. So it is similar to that. So that is why it is mentioned that it is very important to understand, like how we have to understand, we have to know who is our enemy, how we can control him, as Prabhuji mentioned through spiritual jnana. So that is what we understand. Yes, thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and there is one more analogy here, no, that it is mentioned about the tamarind. That this is verse number 37. So there is the analogy. I have read it. Yeah. When a milk comes in contact with the sour tamarind, it transforms into yogurt. So this is the analogy, like how our love transforms into lust. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, group two, please. Verse number 39, right? Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
So, yeah, so the keywords here is Jnana Metananda, pure consciousness, and Nitya Varina, Nitya Varina is the eternal enemy, and Kama Rupena is the by lust only. This is covered by the lust, and Dusparinana, it never is satisfied. So in this verse, there are two analyses mentioned. The first analysis is Krishna compares to the lust to fire. So in the Manusmriti also it is mentioned that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of senses, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. So it is compared like that. And another analogy is mentioned that it's a material world is like cycles of sex life. So this is the punishment for living entities, disobedient obedient to the laws of the God. And also the best way to stop this one is to stop this feeding to this one. And and
Yes,
advanced material civilization is on the basis of sense culture also means increase the duration of material existence of a living entity.
Hmm.
This is
Yes.
the yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. And see,
Hare
this is mentioned that we get some kind of a feeling, right? That happiness, some satisfaction. But that sense, some feeling that is so-called feeling of happiness, it is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. So actually, ideally in case if we see, because that is the one which gives birth to more lusty desires, because we become greedy. So that is what is mentioned here. Yeah. Thank you. And yeah, it is just like a fire. It is never extinguished by constant supply of fuel because it keeps on increasing, by the constant supply of fuel. It keeps on increasing. Yeah. And the material in the material world, center of all activities is sex. Yeah, as we covered. Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yes, verse number 41. Yes, Harshita Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So, in the verse 41, Krishna advises to Arjuna that
Hmm.
it is extremely important to regulate your senses right from beginning, so that you don't get entangled in this in the lust aspect, and you
Hmm.
need to curb this as so that you can get मतलब आप बच जाओगे सिंफुल एनिमी से लस्ट से सो ये आपको स्टार्टिंग से ही कर्व करने की जरूरत है एंड फॉर दैट ही मेड अ डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ ज्ञान एंड विज्ञाना so here the jnana refers to the knowledge of that the spirit soul is not the body, but vijnana
Hmm.
is an above higher element to jnana wherein it means where we understand the constitution of the soul and the constitutional position of the Lord. So, and this is also mentioned in one of the verses of Srimad Bhagavatam that this Vijnana you can only receive when it is explained by the Lord Himself. So, that is also mentioned. And apart from this, it is mentioned that the understanding that all living entities are a part and parcel of the Lord, and therefore our prime purpose is to serve the Lord. But what happens is when we talk about lust, it is described over here that it is nothing but a perverted reflection of the love of God, which is natural for every living entity. But if
Hmm.
it is mentioned that if we are conscious and if we are in a Krishna conscious state from the very beginning, then this natural love of God cannot deteriorate into lust. And if by any chance we are not into Krishna consciousness and it gets deteriorated, then it becomes very difficult, to come back to the normal condition again. It is possible, but it is a very long journey. So this is what is Mataji mentioned over
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. Yes. So this is what has been mentioned in verse 41 that therefore, O Arjuna, we have to curb this great symbol of sin by regulating the senses. Slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. So there is a difference between jnana and vijnana. Jnana is the theoretical knowledge that I understand. Okay, what is the difference? Who am I? Right? I am not but I am the spirit soul. I am not the material body, but I am the spirit soul. And vijnana is vijnana is practical knowledge. How do I really implement it in my real life? Okay, now I understand this, but what is my actual constitutional position, which is to be an eternal servitor of Lord Shri Krishna, right? Jivira Swarupa Krishnera Nitya Dasa, and how do I really implement it? How do I render my devotional service unto Lord Shri Krishna? So that is Vijnana. So yes, so this is what has been mentioned in this particular verse. Yes. Yes, thank you, Mataji. So, in case if we go through the other verses from 37, between 37, 38, and 39, going forward. we understand, okay, this lust is the enemy, right? So, and now we need to understand, we know lust is our enemy. 30 verse number 37 is helping us to understand that uh, it is my enemy, right? And it also helps me understand
It can be
verse
spiritual.
number, I'm moving to the other verses, verse number 14, Riyani Manobuddhir. Yeah. So 38, 38 basically is helping us understand like what are the various categories, like as fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust. Please go through the Bhagavad Gita verse number 38, please. Yeah, I'm reading it from the book. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust.
Lust.
So, what is being mentioned here is there are the 3 degrees of covering of the living entity by which his pure consciousness is obscured. So, if we go through this purport, we would understand when lust is compared to smoke, it is understood that fire of the living spark can be little perceived. So, what we can say when we see the analogy of the smoke and the fire, it is with respect to there is different comparisons that when I am when there is fire, basically along with fire there will be heat and smoke, right? If the fire is covered by smoke and heat, can I see the fire? The fire can be perceived, right? This
Yes.
means that the consciousness of the humans, it is compared to the consciousness of the humans, and it means that there is lust, but yes, there is a chance of overcoming that lust, isn't it? That because we can see the fire, and along with the fire, there is some heat and smoke coming out of it, but still fire is visible. But when we see the mirror, example of a mirror, mirror is covered by dust. It is partially visible. It is not completely opaque. It is partially visible. This means still there are certain chance of Krishna consciousness. This is compared to the consciousness of the animals. So the lust is there. It is of medium degree. And still there are chances of overcoming that lust. The third one is the embryo. The embryo is in the womb, right? In the womb of the mother. So when we talk about the womb, it is very difficult. I mean, there is no space also. When the womb is present in the mother's, when the embryo is present in the mother's womb, it is so tightly placed that there is no chance of movement also. That place is not there. So this is compared with the trees, you know, and that is why the chance of overcoming this is very minimum. That is why it is mentioned that even the trees, they also have consciousness, but it is very slight. But this does not mean that we should just go and randomly cut the trees or cause some kind of deforestation. No, but what I meant is just to understand, just imagine the situation and what is I mean, it is a blessing to be in a human life, isn't it? Because if a person, because of certain kind of karmas, they get a birth in these different species of life. How difficult it is to attain Krishna consciousness. It's very difficult. And for the trees, just imagine they have to gradually evolve from different species. So there are 4 kinds of species. I mean, not the species, categories: Shvedaj, Andaj, Jarayuj, and Udbhij. So these are the different categories wherein all these species they fall under these 4 major categories. So yeah, so this is now we understand this when we talk about the consciousness, how our consciousness is covered, how this lust is covering the entities. When we with respect to verse number 40, when we move to verse 40, it helps us to understand, okay, now we know who is our enemy. And now it helps us to know, verse 40, where is he hiding? Where is the enemy hiding? So, where is the enemy hiding? Who are the sitting places of lust? Please read this verse 40. Where is it hiding? There are 3 places where this enemy is hiding.
Sense, mind, and intelligence.
Yes, thank
Mind
you.
and
And
intelligence. Senses.
sense, mind, and intelligence. Yes, thank you. And these sense, mind, and intelligence, all these are strategic positions. So if an enemy conquers these 3 positions, it is very difficult. I mean, the enemy is going to win. It becomes difficult. So, first is we should know that who is the enemy, and where then we try to understand, okay, where is our enemy hiding, and what do we do then? We try to conquer that enemy. What do? We try to attack that particular enemy. Now, where are we going to attack? How do we attack that particular enemy? How? What is the, I mean, when we plan our strategy, what do? We try to attack the enemy where it is the, I mean, which is my weakest link, where he can be conquered. The first gate, the first entry level, that is the senses, isn't it? So that is what it helps us to understand if we go through verse number 41. Therefore, O Arjuna, best of all Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin by regulating the senses. Lord Krishna did not mention, okay, regulate your intelligence, regulate your mind. No, he said, regulate your senses. Why? Because senses give the input to our mind. How do we see everything? How do we perceive the objects of sense gratification? Through our senses. And that is the way it helps us to understand. Okay, now when we are going to understand how do we control, how do we strengthen our intelligence, that we will see. So first is we have to regulate senses. So at the first gate, entry level itself, try to put I mean, we have to stop, we have to put this barrier, And then verse number 42 helps us understand the senses are the weakest, isn't it? So senses are superior to dull matter, isn't it? So to the matter, senses are superior. Mind is above the senses, right? We understand because sense. Okay, let me just quickly uh, open this. So there is a picture, right, of the chariot, mind, and senses. All of us know that, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. So we have this. Yes, this is the one. Let's see this. So see, the body is the chariot. I hope it is visible to everyone.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, so see, these are giving us the inputs. Senses are giving us the inputs. Five senses. Body is the chariot. The five senses are the horses. Now, this rein, the mind is the reins. Intelligence is the chariot driver. He is trying to control these horses. They are going haywire because they just want to, if they saw something, they say, okay, okay, I want to go to that particular place. It is very difficult to control them. Why? Because of the conditioning that has happened for so many multiple janmas, they are uncontrolled. They wish to go somewhere here, there, isn't it? And now the mind is the reins. The intelligence has to be strengthened because the intelligence can control them. And how the intelligence can control them? And see, the self is the chariot's passenger. Atma, the soul is the passenger. And where the soul would go, that is decided by the intelligence and the senses and the mind, right? So what do we see? The objects perceived by the senses are the chariot's path. And if we have to so first is we have to regulate the senses because they are the weakest. There is another important thing which you will notice here. We have seen the senses. After senses, we have the reins are mind,
Mind.
right? And then this is
Intelligence.
right. And then we have soul, and then
Oh,
we have super soul, right?
Yes.
If you would notice, the senses are the gross material element, right? As we move upward, what happens? They become subtler. It becomes very difficult to control the subtle elements. Can we control the mind? I mean, before the senses, no, we have to regulate the senses first, right? How do we do that? We have to engage them in the correct activity of Krishna consciousness. So that is why it is mentioned that the working senses, that we have to regulate the senses. Now, thus knowing oneself to be transcendental, verse number 43. Verse number 43 is we have to carry out three-step formula that we have to strengthen our intelligence, buddhi. So it is mentioned, buddhe param buddhava, param, superior knowing, right? Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind. How? By deliberate spiritual intelligence. Because if my intelligence is not strong, what will happen? The mind will overcome it, isn't it?
Yes.
It is going to overpower it. For example, if a person he's told, okay, you don't have to eat a gulab jamun. I'm just taking an example. You're not supposed to eat a gulab jamun because you're diabetic. Now, what the senses will do? We are just sitting here. I have just taken this name of gulab jamun, just a sweet. All of us are trying to visualize it. That is the mind. Mind is going to n number of places within a fraction of second. Not even a second. Just imagine how mind works. And what the senses are doing, senses are also trying to visualize, okay, how does it look? Now, what will happen if a person's buddhi is not strong enough? What he will do, he will use his working senses. He will get up, he will go to that particular shop, he's going to buy it. But if a person's intelligence is strong enough, what will happen? He will stop what the mind is saying, isn't it? So mental concoctions. So that is the way it happens. And how we can strengthen our intelligence? Only by giving transcendental knowledge. And what is that knowledge? That will be explained in chapter number 4. Isn't it? The transcendental knowledge. Because that is going to help us understand how to control this. Yeah, so this with this we just come to an end. Yeah, so therefore this is the panacea. Panacea to engage everyone in Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna. He comes above the highest principle of Brahmanism. This is the greatest gift to the humanity, that even he is in the fallen condition, the most degraded position. He can be raised to the highest position. Yeah.
Simply by chanting.
So he can be the most degraded position. He can be raised to the highest position simply by chanting. This is the only remedy. Bhagavad Gita 3.18 to 30, Los Angeles, December 30, 1968. So this is the only remedy. So with this we come to an end of this chapter. Thank you everyone. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Srila Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिंधुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री गुरु महाराज की जय श्री निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
We can take up the questions if we have any.
Mataji, YouTube live disconnection.
Yes, Prabhuji. Just give me a minute, Prabhuji.